Welcome to the Sci-Fi Evolution channel. The last transmission from Xeris, your fate is sealed. I have received a message from Nikki, the supreme strategist of the work. I waved off Regent Zim's attempt Terra activate my main sensory apparatus. These primitive broadcasts have become tedious. For 4 hours, we've been following messages from the blue-green planet known as Gaia. Such a boring name for such a boring look. Please play it. I sighed, settling into the command chair. The gelatin upholstery hugged my body, providing comfort that did nothing to improve my mood. Please tell me that this is not another of their TV shows. If I have to watch another episode of their mating rituals disguised as entertainment, I might get thrown into space. Zoral snorted, and his nasal slits flared with pleasure. No, sir. It looks like it's a direct message to us. They've discovered our presence. That caught my attention. Our review. The technology has been designed to be invisible to biological species at their current technological level. I adjusted my 6 eyes by blinking alternately, a nervous habit I developed when I first hatched. I have assured you that our location is hidden behind their moon, and their primitive scanning equipment will not be able to detect us, sir. However, the message was addressed to the alien ships that were currently hiding behind Gaia's moon like cowards instead of approaching us openly. There was silence on the bridge. Captain Zyra dropped the cube of food she was eating. Regent Drek gasped, so dramatically that it could have been a scene from a play. I lowered my voice an octave, and the central screen came to life. A humanoid with pink skin and fur only on top of his head appeared. According to our research, they were wearing blue uniforms with insignia I didn't recognize. For the commander of the alien ship monitoring our communications, this is Myral Tesla. Yaris, member of the Public Council, we have been aware of your presence for some time. Your Pokrov technology is really impressive, but it leaves a distinct quantum footprint that our advanced detectors can detect. I felt my stomach twist. We understand that you are probably assessing whether Heya poses a threat or an opportunity. Let me save you some time. We sincerely invite you to peaceful cooperation. However, if your intentions turn out to be hostile, please keep in mind that it would be undesirable to cooperate with Heya. Captain Zyra chuckled. Is that a threat, Mother? The man replied. We have studied your impressive armament, but there are several vulnerabilities in your defensive harmonies. This is not a threat, but just information that, in our opinion, should help you make decisions. My jaw clenched in annoyance, and I cut the connection. A tactical diagram of their planetary defense appeared on the screen. The collection of satellites and orbital platforms that people call a defense system was a pathetic sight. I stated, getting up from my seat and pacing the bridge. Their most advanced weapons, nuclear missiles with radioactive charges, were crude and illegible. Our shields would hardly have been able to detect their impact. But Zoral intervened. How did they find us, and how do they know about the frequencies of our shields? I waved away his concern. It may be a simple deduction or a lucky guess, or perhaps they have adopted some technology from another species. The galaxy is full of carefree travelers. Should we inform the Galactic Watch about this? Drex, who always followed protocol, said. Representatives of a race that had not reached superluminal speed resorted to empty threats. The Council would laugh at us by stripping us of our powers. I turned to our tactical officer, Commander Rex, for an analysis of their military capabilities. Rex, a tall figure with a cybernetic eye implant, purple light on a holographic display that displays images of approximately 150 countries, each with different military capabilities, totaling about 65 million military personnel, and approximately 13,000 nuclear weapons, as well as chemical and biological agents, all of which are useless against our advanced technologies and aircraft, including primitive jet planes with a maximum speed of 3.5 meters per second, while our fighters are 50 times faster. I nodded in satisfaction, as expected, and sent this message to Admiral Tesla. Your bravado has been noticed, but it is not necessary, as the Zarkonian hegemony will come not as conquerors, but as liberators. Your planet has valuable resources, and if you give them away, your species will be able to continue its existence under our benevolent leadership. The message was transmitted, and the response was immediate. Admiral Tesla's face appeared on the screen, but now she was smiling. Something about that smile made my exoskeleton itch. I burst out laughing, and soon the entire crew on the bridge joined him. The sound echoed off the metal walls of our command ship. I can't guarantee your safety. I mimicked my own voice, giving it a mocking tone. Arrogance, delusion. Perhaps they are mentally unstable as a species, Zyra suggested, still chuckling. No, I replied, returning to my seat. This is a psychological tactic. They hope to appear stronger than they really are. It's actually quite pathetic. What are your orders, sir? Zoral asked. I thought for a moment. The Zarkonian hegemony has subjugated 37 planets in 12 star systems. We did not encounter any serious resistance. The same can be said about people. Prepare an invasion fleet. Our goal is to strike at their large settlements. At the same time, we need workers for mining. As soon as they realize the futility of resistance, we will establish a planetary government under our control. And if they resist? Rex asked, and his cybernetic eyes flashed intently. I stared at the blue-green planet on our screen, so small and insignificant in the vastness of the universe. Then we will show them why the Zarkonian hegemony has never known defeat. When our ships emerged from the moon's shadow, revealing our entire fleet of 300 warships, we received the last message from G. It was a text message that really puzzled me. It said simply, "You have decided your fate." My subordinates turned to me for advice. I just shrugged my shoulders in a last-ditch attempt to intimidate them. Ignore it and start the invasion. I had no idea that these words would haunt me for the rest of my life. The first wave of our invasion force consisted of 50 amphibious assault ships, each with 200 elite soldiers on board. They entered the atmosphere of the GI. Lined up in perfect formation, we made a stunning sight for the people below. Our sensors have detected their primitive planes trying to intercept us. Zoral said that people broadcast on all frequencies, but not for us, but for their own people. Let's hear what they have to say, I ordered. I was curious to hear their last words before they complied, and another person appeared on the screen. He was a man with dark skin and a completely bald head. He introduced himself as Secretary General Oren Powell. The moment we've been preparing for so long has finally arrived. Proto-Colonix has already entered into force. We all wished each other good luck and remembered our training. I frowned at the protocol. Proto-Colonix, what kind of training, Rex? I asked. Is there any information about this? Rex shook his massive head. There is nothing in our intelligence data, sir. It's probably just a way to keep morale up. I decided that it was also an empty gesture. Drex's voice was full of anxiety. A surge of energy has been detected on the surface of the planet. Before I could respond, a blinding flash of light appeared on the view screen. When everything cleared up, 3 of our landing craft had disappeared. Report, I shouted. Unknown energy weapon, sir, Rex said, running his fingers over the console. It's not like their well-known technology. It looks like it's a directional plasma weapon. Impossible, I whispered. Their technological capabilities did not allow the use of plasma weapons, but the evidence was irrefutable. We stood in stunned silence as more flares broke out on the surface of the planet. 5 more landing craft disappeared, and an evasion order was given. All the ships scattered in formation, but it was too late. People saw this coming. Energy beams shot up from various locations, targeting our ships with uncanny precision. They have targeted the vulnerabilities in our shields as promised, Zyra said in a trembling voice. Another message has been received. Admiral Tesla, with a calm and collected expression on his face, said, "This is your only warning. Commander Werg, leave now, or you will be destroyed." I slammed my fist on the armrest of my command chair, ordering all ships to launch a full attack, directing all fighters to the weapon installation sites. As our remaining ships headed for Geha, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very, very wrong. It was not the way we planned, Zoril said softly, standing next to me. What if they're not bluffing? I had no answer for him, just a bitter taste of insecurity that I had never experienced before. Thus began the most disastrous military campaign in the history of the Aran hegemony. The second wave of our invasion was supposed to be overwhelming, unstoppable, a kind of military demonstration that would make primitive species fall to their knees and beg for mercy. Instead, it was a disaster of epic proportions, and I was sitting in the front row for the whole pathetic performance. Sir reported that 30% of our landing craft had been destroyed. His cybernetic eye was flickering erratically, which was a sign of extreme stress. Our ground forces have reported strong resistance in all landing zones. I paced the bridge, tapping my claws on the metal floor. Their weapons are like sticks and stones compared to ours, Zyra said gloomily, watching footage captured by our ground troops. These pictures made my heart stop. People in advanced power armor, unlike the primitive military equipment we saw during our reconnaissance, attacked our troops with weapons that penetrated their armor as if it were made of paper. Their movements were fast and precise, almost robotic. The soldier I gave the order to pointed to the man who single-handedly destroyed a squad of our elite troops. The image zoomed in, and something appeared on it that sent a chill down my spine. The man's eyes glowed with an unnatural blue light. The joints of the armor were visible, and what appeared to be neural interfaces were connected directly to her skull. "They're reinforced," I whispered, Antigmented. "That's impossible," I snapped, but with less conviction than before. Our intelligence has shown that such technology does not exist. Their ethics committees and religious factions have categorically banned such changes. Drex looked up from her work, sir. "We're intercepting their messages. They're discussing something called the Lazarus Project. It was started 10 years ago when they first detected signs of extraterrestrial activity. For 10 hours, while we watched their absurd entertainment programs and studied their primitive weapons, they prepared for our arrival. The realization hit me like the force of gravity. I ordered a review of all their scientific achievements over the past decade. I focused on military applications, cybernetics, and energy weapons. While Drex was collecting data, another message arrived. This time it was not from Admiral Tesla, but from a man with striking green eyes and a scar on his face that stretched from temple to chin. "This is General Ethan Vex, the combined forces of Gaia. Your troops have been destroyed. Your ships are falling from the skies, and your invasion has failed. We offered you a chance to leave peacefully, but that chance has expired. Disconnect the connection. I'm growling at you, you arrogant monkey. Rex, what is the status of our flagship fleet?" Rex hesitated before answering. 7 destroyers lost, sir. People have used something like swarm technology, microscopic drones that attach to our hulls, bypass our shields, and penetrate our critical systems. I feel dizzy. This cannot be the case with the powerful Zarkonian hegemony, nor with me. Launch our orbital bombing platforms. I decided that if they wanted to play big, we would show them what real power is. Attack their major cities, military installations, and power grids. Let's see how their fancy armor works without electricity. Zoril, Galactic Watch protocols specifically prohibit the orbital bombardment of civilizations that existed before the speed of light. It counts. I know what counts. I was running out of patience, but these people defied the natural order of things. They had to hide, begging for their lives. Instead, they mocked us. We launched the platforms, and no one dared to object. The command was given, and our 12 orbital bombing platforms, each capable of pulverizing an entire continent, moved into position around Gaia. The platforms are ready. Sir Rex has reported that they are awaiting your final approval. I took a deep breath. This would put an end to the people's resistance once and for all. It would also probably have ended my career as soon as the council found out about it. But shame is better than defeat. Fire! I commanded. 12 destructive energy beams shot towards the surface of Gaia. The bridge crew held their breath, waiting for the catastrophic destruction that would follow. But that never happened. Instead, something extraordinary happened. As the rays approached the atmosphere of GI, they seemed to encounter an invisible barrier. Then, to our amazement, they turned around and headed back to our platforms. I screamed in alarm, but it was too late. The platforms, along with the ships closest to them, were destroyed by their own weapons. There was silence on the bridge. More than a third of our fleet has just disappeared on the tactical display. They had protection technology, Zyra finally said, and there was desperation in her voice. Barely discernible, it is the technology of the planetary shield, which was considered impossible for any civilization under UR Omega. By our standards, we've barely reached level 3. Another transmission, this time from a human woman with brown hair and cold, calculating eyes. This is Dr. Morgan West, the head teacher of the GI school. Your firing attempt was predicted and stopped. Your shield's technology was redesigned from a scout ship we captured 15 hours ago. As you can see, we have made some improvements. My jaw dropped. We have never sent a scout ship. We discovered this tricycle planet quite recently. Drive West smiled thinly. Not the commander of your empire. There are other guests in our little corner of the galaxy. Less arrogant. Some were even willing to trade technology for a safe harbor. The consequences were staggering. Humans have been dealing with alien species since before we appeared. They were specially preparing for scenarios like ours. I'm sorry, Zoral said urgently. Our ground forces are overloaded. We are requesting permission to evacuate the surviving soldiers. I nodded stupidly, because this was no longer an invasion, but a desperate escape. I have ordered all ships to withdraw their ground forces and prepare to withdraw immediately. Delta Force will provide fire cover, while our ships attempt to pick up what remains of our invasion force. I received another transmission, this time from the human military bunker, which shows General Vex standing in front of a huge holographic image of our fleet, which is on its way so soon. Commander, but we have prepared a warm welcome for you. You might want to know what else we learned from our galactic friends. The screen split, showing different angles of the planet's surface. Massive hangar doors opened in places that our intelligence identified as regular military bases, or even civilian facilities. Human ships appeared in these hangars, the designs of which we had not seen before. It had elements of at least 3 different alien civilizations. I didn't recognize any of them. I whispered. No. Human ships took to the air to attack our retreating forces. They were smaller than our warships, but faster and more maneuverable. What they lacked in firepower, they made up for with tactical precision, targeting our weak spots with surgical precision. Drex reported, panic in her voice. We have lost contact with the battle group. The Pelon and Zeta battle groups are reporting heavy losses. I collapsed into my command chair, stunned by the scale of our failure. Order all remaining ships to head for the jump point. We're retreating, and the ground forces haven't recovered yet. Zyra asked softly. I closed all 6 eyes. They are lost, as our battered fleet limped away from Gaia. The last message from Admiral Tesla has arrived. Once again, her expression was neither triumphant nor angry, just coldly professional. Commander Vord, you were right. Hegemony was warned. This is a lesson, and if you decide to return, it will be with a large fleet. You will be confronted with an even more difficult truth about humanity. This message will be repeated on all frequencies so that your leaders are sure to receive it. She smiled her anxious smile again, and then said, "Remember our first message. You have decided your fate." "We weren't talking about our fate, Commander. We were talking about yours." The broadcast ended, leaving us to reflect on our defeat. In just one day, the powerful Zarkonian hegemony lost half of their invasion fleet to a species they mistook for monkeys. We underestimated them, thinking they didn't understand technology. When we entered the transition point, I had one question. What am I going to tell the Emperor? In the great hall of the Zarkon Imperial Palace, 30-meter-high polished black stone columns towered, intimidating everyone who entered. The ceiling was painted with scenes related to our greatest achievements. The floor was lined with mosaics depicting subdued species bowing before the dragons, and it seemed as if she was mocking me with every step I took towards the throne of the Emperor. Vexel Zor, may his reign last forever, sat and watched as I approached his massive body. I was dwarfed on his ornate throne, and his 6 eyes followed my every move, while the other 2 were glued to a holographic display showing the remnants of our once proud invasion fleet. I got down on one knee and bowed my head, as protocol required me to remain silent until I was addressed. The silence dragged on for an excruciatingly long time, and finally the Emperor spoke. His deep voice echoed through the hall, explaining how the powerful Zarkonian hegemony had lost half of its invasion fleet to a species that hadn't even colonized its own moon. I swallowed hard. "Your Excellency, people, they were not what they seemed. Our minds were imperfect, and they possessed technologies beyond our comprehension." I heard that the Emperor snapped his clawed finger, and the huge screens throughout the hall showed footage of the battle, as well as planetary shields and energy weapons. The augmented soldiers were a real surprise to the primitive species. They helped other alien civilizations. I know what they had. The Emperor roared as he rose from his throne, but the courtiers and officials standing in the hall shuddered in unison. What I want to know is, why didn't we discover this before we sent our ships to be destroyed? There was no good answer. Our intelligence was thorough. At least that's what we thought. We listened to their communications, studied their military capabilities, and analyzed their technological level. Somehow they hid their true power from us. Your Excellency, they deliberately deceived us, maintaining the appearance of technological limitations, while secretly maintaining a much higher level of technology. When they were preparing for contact with aliens, they knew that we were watching the Emperor. He leaned back on the throne, his main breathing bag rapidly inflating and deflating, which is a sign of extreme irritation. "So, what do your experts think of these people?" I gestured to the science instructor, Thrax, who nervously stepped forward. The instructor's lean body trembled slightly as he activated his data tablet. "Your Excellency, our analysis of combat data shows that humans have achieved technological advances that surpass anything we have ever seen. They don't innovate so much as they adapt, taking disparate technologies and combining them in ways their original creators could never have imagined," explained Mr. Trucks, showing a hologram of one of the human ships. "This vessel contains elements we recognize from Proximian technology, Venturian design philosophy, and even some Zarkonian engineering principles, but the way they are integrated is unique. Combining these elements creates something completely new. The harmonic of their shield changes randomly, making it almost impossible to hit them effectively. Their weapon systems receive energy from a modified Proximian three-dimensional matrix, but with an increased level of efficiency. The Proximians themselves have not achieved what you suggest. They don't have advanced alien technology. There was skepticism in the operator's voice, not only because they had improved our radiation, but also because their thinking was not limited by conventional norms. Where we see established technological paths, they see opportunities that we never considered. The Emperor turned to me and asked about their possible actions. They will probably chase us and attack Zarkin and other worlds in retaliation. This has been a question that has been preoccupying me since our retreat. During our trip home, I carefully studied people, looking through historical records that were freely available on their information networks. What I found was disturbing. Humans are mysterious creatures. Their past is marked by constant conflicts among themselves, but they show amazing self-control when they come out victorious. They can be fierce in battle, but generous in victory. I believe that they will not take revenge on us, but rather focus on promoting their own technological achievements. They will not immediately pursue us beyond our solar system, but will prepare for our return. They will expect us to attack again, and with greater force. If we do this, the Emperor asked, leaning forward, if we gather the full might of the hegemony and crush these upstart monkeys, the court lapsed into silence, waiting for my answer. My career, and perhaps my life, depended on my next words. I could recommend a massive counterattack, the expected response from the Zarkonian commander, or I could tell the truth as I understand it now. I chose the truth. No, Your Excellency, we shouldn't do that. Sighs echoed through the hall. The Emperor's eyes narrowed dangerously. Explain yourself, Commander, before I order your execution for cowardice. I straightened up, meeting his gaze. People have demonstrated abilities that far exceed our expectations, but I believe they have shown restraint. They could have pursued our retreating fleet. They could have completely destroyed us, but they chose not to. I have activated. The latest transmission from Admiral Tesla is displayed on my tablet with personal data. Their message was unequivocal. They see this as a lesson. If we come back with stronger forces, they will respond in kind. Judging by the level of their technological progress, by the time we can organize another invasion, they will become even more powerful. Mr. Trucks, the head of the science department, nodded in agreement. Commander Zoller's assessment is consistent with our forecasts. Your Excellency, the development of human technology is exponential, not linear. In the time it takes us to prepare another invasion fleet, they could surpass their current capabilities by decades. The Emperor let out a low, menacing growl. You're suggesting that we just accept this defeat, that we let the Tier 3 civilization humiliate the Zarkonian hegemons without retaliation. I suggest, Your Excellency, that we review our classification of humanity. At Level 3, they clearly pose no threat. Despite the apparent evidence, I insist that we should establish diplomatic relations with other civilizations. We can learn from them, and they can learn from us. The court was furious when the paramilitary, dressed in his ceremonial armor, said it was absurd. He argued that establishing diplomatic relations with the species that defeated us would be unbearable, even more unbearable than total annihilation. I countered that people have demonstrated their ability to rebuild and improve any technology they encounter. Over time, they may develop abilities that could pose a threat to our invasion fleet and the hegemony itself. The Emperor raised his hand for silence. Commander Zotter, you have been defeated by these people. Some may wonder if this experience has clouded your mind. I bowed my head, acknowledging your concern for the welfare of the hegemony. That's why I made this offer. I nodded to Zorel, who accompanied me. After exiting the ship, he turned on the compact display, which displayed a three-dimensional star map. A pulsing red dot indicated GI's location. During our departure, We detected anomalous energy signatures emanating from 3 different star systems located 200 light-years away from Gaia. Our investigation suggests that these are human outposts or secret colonies. The cameraman bent down, studying the map. It was inconceivable that our scouts would report these colonies without their knowledge. Your Excellency, people were aware of the existence of other extraterrestrial species of 15-year-olds before our arrival. They had plenty of time to carefully select and expand these outposts. These energetic signs correspond to the distinctive fusion technology they demonstrated during our confrontation. Science Inspector Trucks studied the data, and his eyes widened. The analysis turned out to be accurate. Your Majesty, if humans have really set up so many hidden outposts, then their resource base and strategic position are much more powerful than we expected. The cameraman was silent for a long time. His expression was unreadable. The room was quiet except for the faint hum of the holographic projectors. Finally, he spoke. Commander Z, your suggestion has been noted. Military Engineer Crooks, you will develop defense plans for all Zarkonian and worlds within a radius of 300 light-years from the city. Science Inspector Trucks, send secret probes to confirm the existence of these alleged human outposts. He descended from his throne, and his presence loomed over all of us. I will carefully consider our next step. The Zarkonian hegemony has never retreated from conflict in the 900 years of our glorious expansion, but we have never faced an opponent like these people. When the court session ended and the officials left, the Emperor called me to his throne. When they were alone, he said softly, "Now that the judicial psychic can't hear me, speak freely. Do these people really pose a threat to our empire?" I thought about my words carefully. Your Majesty, I believe that humans are capable of adapting and evolving at a rate that surpasses that of any species we have encountered. This unpredictability can be more dangerous than a known force. The Emperor nodded slowly and admitted that perhaps it was time for the Zarkonian hegemony to adapt too. He returned to his ship, and I waited for further instructions. As I left the magnificent hall, I couldn't help but think about the people. Were they preparing for our arrival? Did they expand their territories? Have they developed even more formidable weapons? Whatever their intentions, one thing was clear. The galaxy had become a more dangerous place since humanity went into space. After my meeting with the operator, I received new instructions to return to the Istok system, but not with a fleet of warships, but with a diplomatic vessel. My mission was to establish contact with people and try to find a peaceful solution to our differences. People appreciated their goals and, most frustratingly, offered compensation for their unfortunate misinterpretation. The Emperor did not seek peace out of a newfound respect for humanity. Our secret research has confirmed my report. Humans have indeed established outposts in neighboring star systems, some dangerously close to the Zarkonian territory. Even more worryingly, the probes found evidence of large-scale construction projects in several locations, suggesting that humanity was building something significant. Something that greatly alarmed the Imperial community. Zoril shrugged enthusiastically, a gesture he had learned from studying human behavior. On the other hand, if they decide to eliminate us, then at least it will happen quickly. Your optimism is inspiring, but our journey to GH took 16 days at a standard diplomatic speed, deliberately lower than that of military vessels in order to appear harmless. This gave me enough time to review everything we knew about humans and prepare for my approach. My career, and perhaps the future of the hegemony itself, depended on the success of this mission. When we entered the solar system, we transferred our diplomatic powers on all frequencies. The answer came immediately. Zarkinski and the ship, the Silent Overture. This is the central command of Gaia. Maintain your current trajectory and prepare to be escorted to the Delta space station. Any deviation will be considered a hostile action. The transfer ended without any pleasantries or mention of our diplomatic status, just cold, precise instructions. I could blame them for having 2 human ships. We were flanked by compact, predatory ships, unlike the ones we had encountered during the battle. These ships seemed to be completely new designs, without any noticeable alien influences. It was a purely human innovation that caused concern. I asked our science officer, a brilliant Zarkonian named Leeks, who replaced Rex after the nervous breakdown that followed our defeat. Leeks studied the readings with 3 eyes, while the other 3 kept their eyes on the intriguing design of the human ships. I couldn't detect any external weapon ports, but their energy readings indicated significant offensive capabilities. They're either very cocky or very stupid after what they did to our invasion fleet. I'm betting they're confident, Zorro muttered. The human ships guided us to the huge orbital station, another new facility since our last visit. The design of the station was elegant but functional. They moved purposefully, giving us only a cursory glance. This was not the reception I expected from the representatives of the formidable Zarkonian hegemony. The central location of the conference room offered a breathtaking view of the city below. General Secretary Orenpal, the same man who announced proto-colonics during our invasion, stood there, looking at his homeworld. He turned to face us, his expression neutral. Commander Vorg, when we received the news that Zarkoni was sending a diplomatic mission, I insisted that you take part in it. This is a poetic twist of fate. Don't you agree? I bowed formally, Secretary General, and conveyed greetings from Emperor Vexora, offering the possibility of peaceful relations between our civilizations. Paul motioned for us to sit at the conference table. We had a lot to discuss. As we sat down on specially designed chairs designed for visitors, another small detail caught my attention. The holographic displays around the table showed images of our invasion fleet. The conversation turned to the consequences of the Zarkensef crash and the captured ships. The soldiers were saved. Technology, Pal stated bluntly. 6 months ago you came to enslave us. Today you are striving for peace. What has changed? Pride forced me to defend the dignity of the hegemony, but my orders were unequivocal. The truth comes first. People have demonstrated their ability to detect deception, so I appreciated your technological prowess. Your strategic outposts in neighboring star systems, your ability to assimilate and improve alien technologies. These factors have forced us to rethink our strategy. Paul exchanged a glance with Adam Tesla, who had quietly entered the room while she was talking. She looked exactly the same as in her broadcasts, collected, calculating, and threatening. It's amazing, Paul said. You're watching our expansion the way any intelligent civilization would. I replied, just like you were watching our ships long before we knew you could detect us. A hint of a smile appeared on her face. Paul's expression remained unperturbed. And what did the powerful Zarkonian hegemony propose? I opened access to my data tablet and discovered the Emperor's proposal for non-aggression and limited technological exchange. The proposal included recognition of the established boundaries and an offer of compensation for the damage caused as a result of our misunderstanding. Admiral Tesla's voice was harsh. But is this what you would call an unprovoked invasion? I met her gaze steadily. What would you call your deliberate technological deception, your hidden outposts, and your alliances with other races? Who provided you with advanced technology to prepare for survival? She replied without hesitation. We detected your tricycle reconnaissance drones before your invasion fleet arrived. We knew what the Zarkonian hegemony was doing to primitive worlds. You are not the first type of expansionist we have encountered. Commander, that was news to me. We know that you had contacts with other civilizations, but the Proximians tried to conquer us 80 years ago, Pal interjected. The Venturians had attempted colonization 50 years earlier. Every time humanity adapted and won, Your invasion was just a test of our readiness. The consequences were astounding. Humanity has been fighting alien invaders for over 100 years, and each encounter has made them stronger, more resilient, more menacing, while maintaining the appearance of a technologically limited species. I did not know, Admiral Tesla said. Obviously, now about these reparations. Our discussion continued for several hours, delving into the details of the proposed peace agreement. In all this, I was struck by the human approach. They were determined but not vindictive, demanding but not reckless. They sought recognition, respect, and guarantees, not subjugation or humiliation. When the negotiations came to an end, Ambassador Reeves offered to show me something. He called it a gesture of openness. We were taken to an observation deck overlooking a huge hangar. There were dozens of ships below us. We were in the process of building ships that were more durable and sophisticated than anything we had encountered during the invasion. Reeves informed us that our first true deep space fleet is capable of reaching any system within 1,000 light years and is ready to launch. Over the next month, the message was clear. Humanity was expanding, with or without our consent. You've achieved in a matter of months what most species take decades to achieve. I noticed Reeves nodding in agreement. Commander Zolter, necessity is the mother of invention. When your survival depends on adaptation, you either adapt quickly or you die. The outposts we discovered are mostly research stations, some mining enterprises, and several colonies. We are an inquisitive species, Commander Zolter. We strive to explore, learn, and grow. However, we have also learned to be careful. When we returned to the conference room, I received an urgent message from our ship. A moment later, alarms sounded throughout the station. "What's going on?" I asked. People rushed to their posts. Admiral Tesla consulted the display on her wrist. Long-range sensors have detected that a Proximian combat helicopter has entered the system, which is rapidly approaching and is not responding to our calls. My heart started pounding. Proximian is already here. It looks like they are. After a moment of silence, Paul solemnly said, "Ambassador Reeves, escort our guests to a safe place. Admiral, activate the security camera." As Reeves led us into a secure surveillance room, we watched in awe as Gay's defense came to life. The orbital station has been transformed, revealing hidden weapon systems. Hundreds of ships lifted off the ground, joining those already in orbit to form a protective shield around the planet. The Proximian fleet, consisting of about 50 crescent-shaped ships, launched at superluminal speed near the orbit of Mars. Their distinctive, organic-looking ships were known throughout the galaxy for their ruthless efficiency. "This is bad," Zorro whispered. "The Proximians don't negotiate, they destroy." I nodded solemnly, because even the Zarkonian hegemony treated Proximian Sev with cautious respect. Admiral Tesla appeared on the main screen on the bridge of his command ship. "Proximian vessels, this is Admiral Tesla Jax. Friends, you are entering a restricted area. Change your trajectory immediately or face the consequences." The Proximians' response was a volley of energy weapons aimed at Gaia's protective shield. The battle that followed was unlike anything I had ever seen. The Gaian ships moved with precision, their formation shifting like water as the Proximian attacked. The planetary shield flickered for a moment, absorbing and redirecting enemy fire. Then the human counterattack began. Ships I hadn't seen before, graceful and predatory, emerged from hiding places around Mars and its moons. They attacked the Proximian unit from the rear, while Gaia's main force attacked them from the front. Under the crossfire, the Proximians tried to regroup, but the human ships were too fast and maneuverable. "These ships," I said, pointing to the attackers based on Mars, "use modified Zarkona propulsion technology." Reeves nodded. "We've made some changes to what was salvaged from your destroyed ships. Within 12 minutes, the Proximian fleet had arrived at the ruins, and not a single human ship had been destroyed. Although some of them were damaged, the few remaining Proximian vessels attempted to retreat, but the concentrated fire from Gaia's defensive system prevented any of them from escaping. When we returned to the conference room, Secretary General Pal was waiting for us. He looked tired but pleased. "Now you understand," he said simply. "People weren't just preparing for our return, they were preparing for any potential threat. The outposts, rapid technological progress, and hidden fleets were all part of a collective effort to ensure that their species would never again be at the mercy of alien invaders. I have warned that Proximian will send more ships when they become aware of this failure." "Let them," Admiral Tesla said, entering the room. "Every attack makes us stronger. Every new opponent teaches us new strategies, and every technology we capture contributes to our progress." Then I realized what motivated me to protect humanity. Humans are truly formidable. And it's not just their weapons, shields, or ships that inspire awe. It's their adaptability, their unwavering determination to win, and their ability to turn defeat into an opportunity. During our invasion, I declared that your fate was sealed. It was not a threat, but a statement of fact. Pal admitted it. By launching the attack on Gaha, you forced us to accelerate our defense preparations, our technological advances, and our expansion into space. You have given us the motivation and the means to become who we are today. And what is it? I asked, even though I was afraid I already knew the answer. Admiral Tesla smiled, that mysterious smile that I remember from our first meeting. He said, "Commander, a species that will never be defenseless again. A civilization that learns from every encounter, overcomes every challenge, and becomes stronger in every conflict." As I prepared to return to our ship, I realized that we had become what we were destined to become. Draft Peace Treaty. Pal made a final comment. "You know, Commander, we've spent countless centuries looking at the stars and wondering if we're alone. When we finally got the answer, it took the form of attempts at conquest and invasion. You shaped us, all of you Venturian Proximians of Zarconia. You have made us who we are, and for that, perhaps, we should express our gratitude." I thought about his words throughout our return trip home. I was thinking about how the Zarconian hegemony had unwittingly contributed to the creation of potentially the most dangerous species in the galaxy. I was thinking about how the ascension of humanity could change the cosmic order that had been taken for granted for centuries. When I presented the peace agreement to Emperor Vexure, I made a personal suggestion to it. We should study people not as enemies or even allies, but as a force of nature, unpredictable, adaptable, and completely transformative. For in the vast tapestry of galactic civilization, humanity is not just another biological species. It is a catalyst for change, a force that has taken its place among the stars, and the galaxy will never be the same again.